I'm done.
So I'll start. I'm Kim Temple with Runaway Realty in Puerto Morelos, Mexico, which is a great little beach town just south of Cancun. My husband and I own Runaway Realty, which is a real estate agency here. I'm originally from Colorado, but I've been in Mexico for almost 10 years. And we have moving to Mexico Monday, a weekly series that used to be in person, but with COVID, we took it online and we actually are loving it on Zoom. And we're just talking about topics that are interesting to people who are thinking of moving to Mexico. Because we're in Puerto Morelos, we tend to focus more on what's happening, particularly in our little town, but many of these topics are going to be of interest to people moving to Mexico in general. So we hope you find it useful. And just some housekeeping, we are filming this, or what's it called? Recording this meeting. So if you prefer not to be on camera, just turn your camera off and then mute your microphone while we're chatting. Well, there's not that many of us, so you can unmute your microphone. Let's just have a conversation. We were expecting quite a few more, but they're not here, so let's just talk. Tonight, our topic is Welcome to the Jungle. When you move to this region of Mexico, you're definitely in the tropics. This is the Caribbean. You are, we're on a little spit of land carved out of the jungle. So if you're someone like me coming from Colorado, which is high and dry, this is a completely new environment for me physically, like for my body, but also for my things, my appliances, my car, and of course your biggest asset, which is your home. And so I thought it would be nice to talk about some of the things that come up when you're thinking about maintaining your home here in Mexico and in this harsh environment. And also talk about a topic that's on everyone's minds, which is that we are in an area that gets hit by hurricanes. And I will tell you that until last year, I've been selling real estate here for almost 10 years. Until last year, I didn't know how to answer the question, what happens when there's a hurricane, because we hadn't had one. We had not had a hurricane hit this area since Hurricane Wilma, which was horribly damaging. And that was, I believe, 2005 or 2006. So we went, 2005. We went a very long time without a hurricane. And then last year we had two. So now I'm an expert. So it is important to understand that we're in a hurricane area and understand kind of the things that you can do to protect yourself and your property when there's a hurricane coming. So I thought we would just chat about that tonight. And then of course, ask your questions. I love it when there's a small group actually, because then we can actually just talk about what we want to talk about. But I think, well, Donna has a home here, Keith has a home here, Pam has a home, Megan's building a home, Mark's thinking about building a home. So I think, being here, you understand that the concrete block construction is different than what many of us are used to if you're coming from other areas, particularly in Canada and the USA, where we have more wood stick-built homes. And so I guess one of just in terms of maintenance, I want to do this really quick, then we'll get to the hurricane stuff. But a lot of times when we're looking at homes, people want to know if they can get a home inspection when they're thinking of buying a home. And that's a good question. It's very common in the US and Canada that you would, of course, always have your home inspected. Here, it's almost never happens. And that is because with concrete block construction, there's really not much to inspect. You don't have a radon, there's no basements, you don't have radon worries, there's not asbestos. The plumbing is in the concrete. No one's gonna let you chip it out to look at it. You can take a look at a water heater or a pressure pump or something like that. But in this market, it's very unusual to go to a seller and ask them to make changes. You're really buying property as is. And so while you could have someone go look at that for your own information, just to get an idea of what might need to happen at the home, it's not something where you're going to go back to a seller with a checklist of things that you want them to do. And so that can make people very uncomfortable. And I understand that because we have a lot of fears. And in the US and Canada, they probably would say, don't ever buy anything without doing inspection. Although I hear now the market is so hot that many people are buying and waiving inspections altogether. or the inspection is not a condition of the purchase in the US. So because the market is so hot there right now. So here, you know, we can do an inspection, but it's really not going to be a condition of your sale. So a few things that you do want to check out is when you're looking at a home, you would look for obvious signs of water damage, and that can happen in concrete homes. Any, you know, water finds a way to get in. We're in a very wet environment. So the fact that you might see water damage doesn't mean there's a problem, you know, the house is going to fall down. It does mean that something needs to be done to find out where the water's coming from. And most likely you're going to look on the roof, where you need to make sure the drainage is correct, the drainage, like pipes coming off the roof, are not clogged. Is there water sitting in some area and somehow it's getting in? Is there waterproofing on the roof, which is, what do they call impermeable or something? I don't know how to pronounce the word, but there's a product here that you put on your flat roof that is kind of a rubbery product that prevents water from getting in. So you do want to make sure that the roof has that, or if it doesn't, you can get it done. What else, guys? What else, homeowners?
Kim, when we bought our house, there was signs of water intrusion in the upstairs rooms. And so we knew it when we bought it, that there was something wrong with the roof. And it's exactly what you just said, that in the United States, if you look at a house that you think has a roof problem, it scares you to death and you don't buy the house. Because, I mean, roofs in the United States with asphalt shingle, or at least the area that we came from, we bought a house in 2010 that needed a new roof, asphalt shingles and underlayment and some of the plywood sheeting. And I mean, we got quotes from $10,000 to $13,000 to replace the roof. So when we bought our house here, we knew we were going to have to address the roof, and we didn't even really know exactly what was wrong with it because we didn't have any access to the roof, stairs or anything like that. But you know, and we didn't let it scare us off, and we bought the house, and they had to do a pretty good repair on the roof. It had tile on it that had not been installed correctly, so water had gotten under it and was trapped under the tile. So they broke off all the tile, put down a new concrete layer on the roof and 2 or 3 layers of the impermeable sealant. And it was a pretty big job, but I mean, I think our cost was less than $3,000. So you just don't have to be, you know, immediately as scared of things, I think, here. One, because the concrete block construction is just more durable than the wood frame that we have back in the States. And the other thing is too, that just the cost to have things repaired here is a lot more reasonable than back in the States.
Yeah, I do think it is the cost issue that scares so many people. And I understand if you haven't been here, you don't realize how affordable things can be. I remember my first big sale doing real estate was a young couple from Park City, Utah. Many of you know them, Jill and Craig, and they bought a house. And on the day of the closing, we walked through, everything worked great. It's a big house on 2 lots. It's an older home, but everything was perfect. And we closed, and within like 48 hours, the pool pump had failed. The electrician had come in and had told them that all the electric in their house had to be pulled out. And I was like, oh my God, my career's over. Because like, this is a small town. Everyone's gonna know that this is a lemon and I have no idea, da, da, da. Well, all of that they had done cost less than $500. Replacing the pool pump, getting the whole, it turned out to be the living room. Well, here's the other thing. Every plumber and electrician I've ever worked with here has told me that whatever the other guy did was completely wrong and had to be redone because they want to do it. So I've learned that maybe don't like react to the first one and maybe get another opinion. But even so, it just doesn't cost that much money. So yes, you don't want to, if you just paid for a house, you certainly don't want to be paying for a lot more things, but it's not going to be catastrophic. You know, if you have to pull out some plumbing and replace it, it might be a few $100s. I mean, Donna, you bought a new house, a fairly new house the first time.
We had to reseal the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. We had to put the permeable seal on the roof. There were issues, but just one of those things that you go as you go. It just, any house is going to have issues, and they were all fixable.
Mm-hmm. One thing that kind of freaks people out if you're not familiar with concrete block construction is that it's like cinder blocks and then there's a plaster over it, and that plaster often cracks. And that's not a sign that the foundation is failing or that the walls are falling down. It's just a function of that type of material and the fact that there's vibrations. We're all sitting on sand. So sometimes you get some cracks in that plaster. It's usually not a concern, especially if I think they've said if they're vertical cracks, it's less of a concern than if they're horizontal cracks. If it's something big, then of course we're going to ask a builder to come in and look at it, or even an engineer if we're really concerned. I had one house that was on the beach and you could see a crack from the roof to the foundation on one of the corners, and we did end up having someone come in, and in that case the seller did end up addressing it because it was on sand and that whatever was holding up that corner wasn't doing the job, and so they ended up redoing it. So if something looks major, we can certainly look at it, but for the most part, if you see little cracks and stuff, it's not a sign that the building's going to fall down. Oh, there's a cat now. Hi, Richard. Welcome. We can't hear you.
Hey.
Hello. Hi.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not that Zoom proficient, so.
That's all right.
Good seeing you again.
And I'm so tired of Zoom, I'm letting him learn it.
I don't blame you.
No, it was interesting what you were saying about vertical. Now, of course, we have a much older house, so we're seeing vertical cracks, but I really think that's something to do with the rebar inside the concrete. I mean, 70s, I think this house was built, right? So but I think it's probably a rebar thing, but there's lots of ways to resolve that as well, as I've been learning.
Yeah, so I actually just was looking that up because we have a few places. Our house was built, like around 97, so it's not new. And there are little chunks kind of falling out of the ceiling, and I'm flipping out. And you can see that there's some like rust up there. So the Avenil, the concrete guy, came and said, don't freak out. We're just going to chip out around it, sand it down to, we're gonna put a coating over it, and then we're gonna replaster it. So I just think, somehow some water found its way in. I don't think it's unusual in a house of this age. I've been reassured that the roof's not coming down. But it can be disconcerting, right? We're not used to things like that. So, yeah. The other things, to think about in this environment, we've got the sun and the rain and sand and salt, and we have the jungle because we carved this out of the jungle, and you're going to need to manage your plants, right? You have to keep the plants kind of away from your house. You're going to have someone to cut them back, at least probably once a week. Maybe if you could go to every other week. I can't at my house. The jungle takes over. And so that's something to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is the plants are, where the mosquitoes like to hang out. So the more foliage you have right around your house, the more mosquitoes you're going to have. So also something to keep in mind. You'll need to maintain your plants and kind of pull them back from the house if you can. Sorry, I just noticed that it's raining again here. Any questions about house maintenance or?
Kim, if you're gonna redo a paint, it is so worth it to spend the extra. Don't go with the 5-gallon bucket of Comex cheap stuff. It's not gonna last. So the extra for sealant paint, especially for your exterior.
Which kind of paint do you recommend?
Bear from Home Depot. Love.
Yeah, we actually do use the Comex. Our exterior is Comex paint. It's held up pretty well, but we, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to paint every couple years, probably on our front wall and stuff.
Yeah, well, right. We just, it's lasted so much better than what we had when we had the Comex at the other house and had to redo it within 2 years.
Yeah.
We've been here, it's been painted for years now. Isn't anywhere near needing to be redone.
Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind is I love pretty colors, and I'm a big fan of that in the Caribbean, but bright color really fades fast in the sun. And you have to keep that in mind. Like, you can love a color, but it's only going to be that color for like maybe a year. And then the sun and the sea is kind of going to attack it. What other questions? Do you guys have any specific questions about houses and what to look for, how to take care of them?
Kim, it's important to remember too, when you're talking about painting your house, not only the exterior of the house, but if you have protecciones or bars on your windows or the security gates on your doors, that you keep those painted, because they get rusty, and rust on metal is never a good thing. So you keep those painted, and they're going to last you a lot longer also.
Yeah.
Now that's interesting, because we actually just replaced the sliding bolt on our front gate. And I think within, we went back to the States for something and came back 2 weeks later, and it had already started to oxidize and rust. So that's interesting. Is there some kind of special paint you use for that? Is there like a...
Richard, we've got the same situation. Our house just got remodeled. We have brand new aluminum car gates, to lock up our car or close up at night. And our slide bolt did the same thing. As soon as it rained the first time, it got completely rusty. And we just went out there and we sprayed it with WD-40. And it took the rust off, lubricated it. And I think that coating of WD-40, I think you just do that periodically, it'll help a lot.
Regular spraying. Okay, that sounds great.
The other thing you want to watch on those protectors, depending on the kind that you have, is mine are pretty old fashioned, and you want to make sure the bolts are staying secure, because sometimes with water and rattling with the wind, it comes a little loose, which makes it pretty easy for someone to get in if they want to get in. So what we've just have been doing is every year, it's kind of every year and a half, we have someone come in, take them all off, paint, scrape and paint, then reinstall, and they kind of repack in the bolt holes to make sure it's tight to the house.
Are you talking that kind of outdoor black paint because I think they've used that on the frames around our gates. So it's like a metal frame, and they have this, it's similar to what you would put on a barbecue pit or something like that. It's like black. But I don't know if you can put that on the lock, because it might block it from closing.
I don't know about the lock. So our lock, and our security door is painted a white paint, the same white paint that we've painted all of our protectors. And I don't know if it's a special kind, but it seems to work pretty well. Ours is protected though. We have an overhang over there, so it's not getting like direct heat or sun or rain, which might be what's helping it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have a lock we bought at Home Depot, and it just slides in and out. So I don't think we could put paint on that. But I think I like the idea of the WD-40, that regular application.
WD-40 and duct tape fixes everything.
I'm with you, brother. Can I ask a little bit? I'm sorry, I don't know if this conversation is finished. Can I ask a little bit about storm shutters? I don't know if that's within your maintenance or anything, but we're just we're new here, and the hurricane season's starting, and we're thinking about putting in we've got a pretty large sliding door that we just put in. So we're thinking about something to shutter that door to keep it, from the elements in the large storms.
Yeah. Well, there's a few options now, which is nice. You know, they have the metal shutters, which are kind of traditional where they can pull across, or there's flat ones that you pull down.
Right.
Stored up above and you pull them down. But they've also got this hurricane fabric, which is quite nice. It's like a Kevlar fabric. And it doesn't look so, you know, sometimes the hurricane shutters can look yucky and also they rust. So that's a constant maintenance if they're the metal ones. But the fabric ones, you just bolt in when the hurricane's coming. So all you have really on that side of the house are these bolt holes. And those are nice. And the other thing you can do, honestly, is just plywood. I mean, a lot of people just have plywood cut to their thing and then they install. In our house, we installed you know, I don't know what you would call them, like
grooves.
Outside every window, there's places, grooves, so we can slide plywood in.
Right.
Which is a low-tech solution, but you know, really what you're trying to do is just make sure your windows don't break. You're not going to keep the water out anyway. Water's coming in no matter what. So that's an option too.
I think it's just the square footage of glass we have is quite large. So we want to try and we were thinking might be some kind of garage door type aluminum structure.
There are.
With constant application of WD-40 to, you know, pull that down if we were to go away for a month or so and be able to just have that major window or the major windows, larger windows, at least shielded. It's sort of a walk away and don't worry about it, right? Like closing your garage or your storage door and putting a little padlock on it and walking away.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. That's nice. There's a lady, I can send you her contact, Caroline Pfeiffer is her name, and she has a company in Cancun, and they do custom doors, and they have many different options that you can have, and they'll come out and measure it and build it for you. I've had people have said they have really good luck with them. I don't know if anyone else.
We used them for the window treatments.
Mm-hmm.
She came in and measured, and we did the ones that they changed. They kind of do the blackout, and you kind of like scroll through them. I don't know what they're called, what the official term is, but she was a fraction of the price of what others were, and she was very timely. You know, nothing but good things to say about Carolyn. She was very helpful.
Good. Yeah, she seems really on top of it.
Sorry, Kim. Could you please post that somewhere so we can?
Yeah, let me try to drop it in. Let me just see if I've got it, and I'll try to drop it in this chat here. I don't, but Pam, do you?
Yeah, I do have her contact, so let me look it up and I'll post it on here shortly.
Thanks. I just don't have it right in my WhatsApp to post there.
Yep, yeah. I do, so I'll post it shortly.
Thank you so much. Yeah, she's done a great job, and everyone says she's super. I mean, we've put her in touch with some condo complexes that needed their whole complex done, and she was right on top of that, so that's great. Let me look at my notes here. There's a lot to think about when you have a house here.
Kim, you were talking about plywood just now. When we moved here last year, I noticed something, and I talked to a couple of other people who had lived here for a while, and they actually had never noticed it, and I think it's worth mentioning. In the Colonia, a lot of the, I don't know about the port side, but in the Colonia, a lot of the houses that have the protecciones on the windows, on the actual iron itself, it has tabs that have been welded to the protecciones. Like this window behind me, this sort of standard size, there'd be 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top, and they're made just to slide a piece of plywood right in there. So if you have those sort of security bars on your house already, you might not have to do any additional prep to use plywood. You might have a place to put it in already.
Yeah, that's what we have. It just slides.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were saying you guys had something added on.
No, it was, well, I think that Gabrielle did fix some of them, but the other ones did. But yeah, it's something so you just slide it right in and it stays. It doesn't rattle too much. So let's see, we talked about sealing the roof. Someone mentioned have good silicone caulking for the windows. I think that's a good point. I happen to have wood clad windows, which are constantly expanding and shrinking. And so we're kind of playing a game all the time to keep them sealed. And we want them sealed for a few reasons. One is that we don't, the rain obviously, but also critters come in and out of there. And when you're trying to air condition a room, you don't want all the cold air going out around your badly sealed windows. So it's a good idea to have some sealant on hand for that. The other thing to remember, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, can I ask you about termites here? Are there lots of termites? We got some old doors that look like they're a good feeding ground.
Yeah, there are termites, and there's different kind of little wood bugs that aren't, I've been told they're not termites, but they're also not good for your
ants, maybe.
I'm not sure is that what they are? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Carpenter ants, maybe? Okay.
Yeah, they leave little piles of dust. That's all I know because we had them in our house. So yeah, you do have to be careful of that. And we just have ended up having someone come in like once a year and treat our wood because we have wood beams across the top as well as wood doors. And that's kept the bugs away. So that's been nice. But yeah, I've had clients that have had problems with termites. I'm trying to think. I feel like it's the same, just a regular fumigation guy that comes and does that, who does the wood treatment. But there are also specialists who can do that, yeah, who only do wood. Is that what you have, Donna?
I just have a fumigator that comes every 3 to 6 months, depending on what season it is and what bugs are coming in.
Mm-hmm. The other thing to be aware of in your home, in this environment, is that anytime you close up your home for any period, really like even hours, if it's super airtight, you're going to start to get this real musty smell usually. And so when you are living here, it's okay because you're in and out of the doors and you're probably running your AC every once in a while. But if you're going to leave and lock up your house, you do need to be aware that you probably need to have someone, a property manager hired to come in and air out your property once a week. They need to come in and check, make sure there's no water anywhere, open the windows, turn on the air conditioning, run it for a couple hours, and then close everything back up. It's just a good idea. Are there people who lock up their house and leave for 6 months? Yes, absolutely. And it's not the end of the world. The houses aren't falling down, but it's a pretty big job when you get back to, clean up, and God forbid you had water in there, at some point during there, and that can be a big mess with mold. And I just think it's a better practice to have someone going in the house and getting their eyes on it, making sure everything's okay. And that doesn't cost a lot. There's property managers from, in a lot of price ranges that do many different things. And so I think it's an investment in protecting your asset that's probably, I think it's worth the money.
I'd like to add, we have a pool, so I think the pool tender is a pretty pivotal person that needs to come in more than once every 6 months. Otherwise, your pool becomes a pond. But yeah, so there needs to be the maintenance on that. I agree.
Yeah. Another good thing to remember is that, in this environment, which is very humid and you get a lot of sun, there's some good fabrics that hold up really well in this environment and some that do not. There's a fabric called Sunbrella, which is really popular here for good reason. It holds up really well. It resists humidity. It resists color fading. It resists mold. And so a lot of people have not only their outdoor furniture covered with Sunbrella, but indoor furniture as well. They have it in like a ton of different colors and styles now. So it's not, it used to kind of only come in a few different colors, but now they've got all different kinds. So that's a good idea. And I think, it's funny because everyone have said to me, don't have leather furniture in this environment. But then I have friends that have leather and it's held up just fine. So I don't know. Anyone have any experience with that in humid, hot weather?
We have leather sofas we inherited, and they look pretty good for, I don't know how long they've been here. So.
I feel like if you're running air quite a bit, it's probably okay, but yeah, I don't know. Our friends have beautiful leather sofas. They've had them for like 7 years and they're just fine. I feel like they do that sunbrella also in drapes. Have you guys seen that in curtains? The fabric that resists fading. Okay, I might be imagining that.
No, but there's a guy, his name is Tomas. He's 1 block behind Chedraui over there and to the right, no, to the left. He does reupholstering, makes cushions out of all of this, has the samples to choose from. If you wanted to have curtains, I'm sure he'd make you curtains. Very reasonable. And he always puts zippers in them, so you just take them off and throw them in the washing machine.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
All right, the hair's
and you
up.
can give him exact sizes or whatever you need. He even made one for me for my front window, which is inside, but it was a very weird size. I needed this exact size and it turned out perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he's really good and very reasonable.
Kim, I have a question. I know you had bought, or last year, you had posted that you got the internet, I can't think of what it's called, but the, that go with your thermostats where you can control them, you know, from your phone. So if you left the house, or how have those been working for you?
They're great. It's what we got was called the QB.
Yes.
It's called CUBY, and I got it at Home Depot, and they're these little devices that attach, you hook up to each AC unit, and then you can control it with your phone. You can also control it with Alexa. We have Alexa and any of those home systems. And it's worked really well. And I love it because I'm famous for walking out the door and leaving the air conditioning on, and it drives my husband crazy. So we can check the app when we're gone, like, oh, did we, check and see if we left it on and turn it off that way. We can also turn it on when we know we're going to be home in an hour or something. We want to cool down the house. We turn it on when we're not here. So it's been great. I know there's other systems, but that's the one that we've tried and that we are using.
Yeah. Well, we were thinking about getting those. And so I just wondered if, if you'd had, if they've been working really well for you.
Perfect. Really,
okay.
Like no problems. I mean, if the internet's out, you can't use it.
Sure.
But other than that, it's fine.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. We really have, Gabrielle went a little crazy on the smart home stuff. And also, we put cameras around everywhere, which I thought was overkill. But then when the shutdown happened and everyone started to be worried that maybe there were going to be a lot of robberies, I was kind of happy that we had these cameras. So, they're not that expensive, and a lot of people are doing it now, and you can control it with your phone. We have the Ring doorbell, and then I guess everything we have is Ring, actually. They're Ring security cameras that we can control, and you can actually talk through them. Like if someone's, we've talked to our gardener, we talked to our cleaning lady through our Ring cameras. And those
how do they hold up in the salt air kind of?
They've been fine. I mean, they've been up for over a year, and we've not had any trouble. 3 of them are outside.
Okay.
We've had no trouble at all. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest trouble we have is the neighborhood kids love to come and press it and run. Yeah. And they don't, we can see them. So then we go say, hey, why are you doing that? And they're like, it wasn't us. We're like, hey, we got you on the video. Yeah.
Hey, Kim,
huh?
You were talking about having like the Ring doorbell and stuff. Is there a subscription cost or anything to that? I know that like there is here for some of that stuff. You have to.
I think it's $50 a year.
Oh, that's not bad.
I believe something like that, because we do pay video. If you don't want to back up the video, you don't have to do that. But we like to see. Because we can see with that, we can see like, when did the gardener arrive? Did the cleaning lady there? Who was the last person in and out of the house? So we do pay for the backup service. Yeah, but you don't have to.
Okay, all righty, thanks.
Yeah, it's super handy. Let's see. One thing to keep in mind with your house here is that in this environment, the closer you are to the beach, especially, your appliances don't seem to last as long as you would normally expect them to. And that is true for TVs, mostly TVs and computers, honestly. Our refrigerators seem to last pretty well. What else? My water pump did have to be changed like once a year until we finally just, you know, it's interesting because the plumbers here, in my experience, always offer you the cheapest option because that's just a cultural thing. You want to do it the least expensive way. And we finally said, we don't want the cheapest one anymore. Like, let's find the best one. So we're not doing this every year. And now we've had it for like almost 3 years, and that's been great. So I do think that is a lesson though here, is to make sure you're asking questions and not just getting the cheapest, quickest fix. You want to make it clear that you want the fix that is going to last the longest. And we kind of run into that over and over again. So yeah, so appliances might not last as long, so you don't want to go crazy buying a gazillion dollar refrigerator because it might not last 10 years like you're used to. I mean, have you guys had that experience with your appliances yet, or? Donna, you've been here the longest. She's not listening. Donna's walking and not listening. Donna! Oh, we can't hear you. All right.
Unmute.
There you are.
We still have problems, but not as much salt as you guys have down there, but we still have things that are not supposed to rust. They rust.
Yeah.
Circuit boards, you know, just things that are supposed to last forever that don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to be careful. And the other thing that is damaging is power surges here. So we have everything on a surge protector.
We use the strips. Yes.
But I am now aware that there's a whole house surge protector that you can buy that I would really like to find out how much that is, because I feel like that might be better than just doing a strip on everything and hoping you didn't forget something. But yeah, you're going to invest in power surge strips. We had an experience during the 2 hurricanes last year, a very sad experience, because we have these ceiling fans that we just gotten that we love, like very beautiful, and they both got fried with the power surges during the hurricanes. And I'm not even sure, because we turned off the, you know, you kind of turn off the power when you know that it's coming. And so I think it was after the hurricane when we turned things back on, and then the power did kind of flicker for off and on a couple days, and they can't fix them, which is a bummer. So there was nothing we could do to prevent that, except a whole house surge protector would have prevented it. But otherwise they're not on any, it's a ceiling fan, so it's not on a surge protector.
Yeah. We don't have one.
You don't, the whole house one? Yeah, I was showing houses today, and there was a house that had one, and I was like, yes, that's something we need to look into.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, any other like general house maintenance topics you all want to cover? I'm looking at my notes.
I do have a question, Kim. Sorry. Sorry,
No.
guys. I know I came in first night tonight, but that's maybe
That's
why
all right.
I have the questions. So we're at the moment on I guess a septic system. I guess, I don't know if it's leach. I don't know if it's just sit in a tank. I'm not sure. We do have a little a compartment in the street where we can tie into the city. We would obviously have to dig a big tunnel or trench to get there. Do you know, is that like a process that we need to go with the municipality? Is that something that we need to go through? I mean, who do we need to go through to see what it would take? Will we need an engineer to, you know, hire to see which direction? Because we're going to have the full, right? So that it's, you know, gravity takes it out. So a lot of questions about that.
Yes, I do too. So we're all supposed to be hooking up because it's available now. I haven't done it myself, but several friends have done it. I'll get the names. There's like a couple sets of teams of guys that are doing it. And it doesn't seem to be outrageously expensive, but like you, I'm wondering how they're going to, how are they going to do this?
Right. It's got to be at an angle down, right? So you got to get it to fall to the front of the street. And our tank is in the backyard. So do I hijack my neighbors and, push it that way because it slopes more? Or I don't know.
Well, honestly, I don't think it comes out of your tank. I think they reroute the sewage.
The whole thing.
So you just ignore the tank. Yeah, I think you just leave the tank. That is my understanding. But that's a good question, and I'll try to get the contact information and post it because we also need to. I've been procrastinating on that.
Well, we just inherited this, so we need to find out the right solutions to make it happen properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have questions about that too. And honestly, that is a good point that we're all, and at least in the Seaside Village, we're all on septic tanks. And I don't really know about maintenance of those. We've never done anything with ours. And I've been here, my mom was here 10 years and I've been here 10 years. And I don't think we've ever touched it. So ours must not be a tank. So ours must be the field.
If it's a leaching system, then it's going to drain itself and maintain itself as long as it's not overused. If it's just a solid tank, you probably have to have somebody come pump it.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
Yeah. I've seen the trucks around town, so I know it's not a hard thing to have happen when they come pump it, but we just haven't had to do it. So that's good. All right, should we talk about hurricanes? We are in an area that has been impacted by hurricanes in the past and probably will be in the future. I'm from Colorado where we don't have hurricanes. We have tornadoes, which are also horrible events. But the difference is in a tornado and a forest fire, in many cases, you don't know they're coming, sorry. You get maybe a 10-minute warning that there might be a tornado and then it whips through your area. So with a hurricane, the good news is that we know it's coming. In fact, we often have an idea that it's coming about a week out. And so that gives you some time to protect yourself and your property. And so that's the good news about hurricanes. Of course, it's human nature to wait and it's not coming this way. I've seen this a million times and then it veers off. So we all were doing that last year. And then lo and behold, the hurricane did come right to us. So there are some things that you can do to protect yourself and your property. I encourage you not to wait till the last minute because everyone else does too. And then there's a rush and you can't get what you need. But basically in terms of, protecting your property, if you're not here, you're going to have a property manager here. And the things that need to be done are you need to bring, there's going to be high winds. You need to bring everything in from outside that could be flying around and hurting you or your property. You need to, clean up any debris that's around your home. You need to secure your windows. Inside your home, you're going to want to lift up anything you can to get it off the ground because there's chances are that you're going to get some water in the house, whether you have the top quality hurricane windows and doors, no matter what you have, there's a good chance you're going to get some water. So it's just prudent to, unplug everything, get everything up off the ground that you can. If you have important papers and things like that, I would, get them in a plastic tub. If you have a safe, when you install a safe, make sure it's up off the ground a bit so that water's not getting into your safe. You're going to need to unplug everything. You're going to need to be prepared for the fact that we won't have power. They usually turn off power, I think within like 4 hours of when the hurricane is about to strike. That seems like that's when they turned it off last year. And so you'll need to be prepared with batteries and candles and flashlights, and hurricane lamps are great. Headlamps come in really handy. Having some of those on hand is a good idea. It's super important to stock up on water. Once they turn off the power, in many cases, your water pump's not going to work. If you have a Tanaco, which is a water storage system on your roof, you've got a reservoir that you can use at least to flush the toilet and take showers and stuff, but it's not drinking water. So you'll want to have stocked up on several of those big garrafones of water and just keep them on hand. And to be honest, you should probably do that right now before there's any hurricane anywhere threatening, because once there is a hurricane out there, everyone's going for water and batteries and candles and gasoline. You want to fill up your car as soon as you think a hurricane's coming, in case you decide you want to evacuate. And also when the power's out, the gas pumps aren't running. So there may not be gas stations open for a few days after a hurricane. So you don't want to leave your tank low in case you need to get around. You want to stock up on, non-perishable items. If you have a generator, you need to make sure that that's, fueled up and ready to go. And what else, guys? What am I missing?
If you have a pool, you can actually sink all your plastic furniture right in your pool.
Oh, really?
We always put our plastic pool furniture, sink it in the pool. It's fine. You have to clean it when it's done, but at least there's some place to put some of that stuff.
Well, do you leave your pool's full, right? It has water in it?
Yes. Yes.
Do you lower your pool level when the hurricane's coming? No?
No. But no matter what, if you have a pool, whether you cover it or not, because of all the debris in the air, it just ends up being a complete mess. So you're going to have to clean it after. But you can sink we've got little plastic tables out there by the pool and the plastic loungers. And we just put all the plastic stuff right in the pool.
I've never heard of that. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah, so it's an interesting experience now that I've been through it a couple times. You just need to be prepared if you haven't been in a hurricane before, which I had not. Super loud. We actually didn't have a bunch of water, which was kind of strange in the two last year, but it's loud and the wind comes from every direction, which is why water is going to get in your house. There's kind of no way, the wind is 360 degrees around the house. Although in the US, a lot of people have radios and emergency radios. If you don't speak Spanish, your emergency radio is not going to be a lot of help. But thankfully, there's social media. You need to make sure your phones are all, everything's charged. All your electronics are charged. I would always have some backup batteries on hand in case you want that, because in the last two hurricanes, the cell phone network stayed up but I think for maybe 2 or 3 hours on each occasion. So you could still access social media and be in touch with other people. You do want to have some rain boots around, because if there's water around, you don't know what's floating around in there. So you don't want to go out in your flip-flops. What else, guys?
Yeah.
What did you learn from the last hurricane?
If someone is house hunting now here or thinking about making improvements to their house, I think roof access is something really important to think about. We bought a 2-story house that didn't have roof access, and we had a 2-story spiral staircase installed so we could get up there. So if the hurricane's coming, we can get up on the roof and check the gutters to make sure they're clear. And we have a pressure pump on our house, but we also have a bypass on our Tinaco. So if a storm's coming, we can go up there and turn a couple of valves and it'll bypass the pressure pump. So we can just go back to a regular gravity feed for when the power is out. And this, I mean, it's handy to have the roof access just for general maintenance when you need to have your Tinaco cleaned, or if you're having a problem with your air conditioning or anything like that. So I just think it's nice to have that access to the roof. I know some people have it on the interior of their homes. And then I guess if you're in a one-story house, it's not as big a deal. You just put a ladder up and run up there. But I know a lot of people have more than one story on their house. So
Yeah,
just
no, that's great advice. You do want to make sure, so I should have mentioned that. Thank you for bringing that up. So you do want to get on your roof before a storm and make sure there's nothing up there, nothing's blocking your gutters. Clean it up as much as you can. Go ahead, Richard.
Go ahead. Sorry, Kim. I think also think about pressure when a hurricane comes through, because there can be, if you've got really good windows, that can actually hurt you in a hurricane, because the pressure inside the house might change. Perhaps there's a window in a nondescript room that you don't care about so much that you can leave cracked a little bit so that the pressure inside and outside doesn't dramatically differ.
That's
we have to do that here for tornadoes.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I have a question.
This is my husband, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
I have a question. Where do we find some of the equipment like a generator and things like that to help? We don't plan to buy, we plan to be in a condominium or a rental property, but we would still need the type of equipment to make sure we're safe. So is there a place in NPM that we can do that, or would we have to go to Cancun or Playa del Carmen?
Yeah, you'll be going to Cancun or Playa del Carmen. Home Depot and Costco and Sam's all sell generators. Liverpool, Sears.
Okay.
All of those places sell generators. None of them are in Puerto Morelos, unless something's changed dramatically that I'm not aware of.
Well, it'll be 2 years before we get there, so.
Well, maybe by then, yeah. And the other thing is, last year they ran out of plywood. They were completely sold. They were completely sold out of anything to kind of secure your house very quickly. So now's the time, right? Now's the time to stock up on the things that you think you might need.
So this time
you might not have to use it. You might.
So the moral of the story is somebody that's on here needs to take charge and contact Home Depot or Sam's Club or Costco and have them
need one in Puerto Morelos.
Build one in Puerto Morelos.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we need in Puerto Morelos.
Yeah, but then we become not Puerto Morelos.
Yeah. So I think, and I guess we priced generators last year. I wish we would have bought one, because by the time we decided we needed one, they were all sold out. Another thing that happened. But they were only like, Keith was saying they were looking like $400, for this, depending on what you need, but kind of for a basic generator. It wasn't crazy. Donna, did you guys buy one? You have one.
No, we have that solar bypass.
Oh, okay.
And the sun shines afterward, electricity.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Wait, so you didn't take your solar panels down when the hurricane came?
No, ours were completely fine, but you got to remember, we're 3 kilometers off the ocean. So the mangrove really sucked up a lot of that energy before it got to our house. And we had no problem with our solar panels.
Yeah, I have a friend in Playa del Carmen, and when I spoke to her before the hurricane, all she was doing was like, oh my God, the solar panel guys aren't here to take my panels down yet. She was so worried that she was going to lose her panels, and they did make it in time. But yeah, I hadn't even thought about that you should probably take those off.
Well,
so we have a couple.
It depends.
Go ahead, Richard.
So we have a couple of solar batteries as well, which we brought from the States. I don't know what the availability is down here. And those are just mostly for the phones and things like that. But we have a couple of solar batteries that we can set outside and still get, trickle charge.
Well, that's a good idea. So what can you charge? I mean, what can you run off that?
I mean, it depends on what battery you buy. I've got a
Okay.
battery at home that'll jumpstart my F-150.
Okay.
But here we just have ones that'll charge all of our electronics and
Pretty much anything that uses USB or micro USB, all of those can power that.
And it charges from electricity as well. So just, I mean, mostly we use it, we charge it with electricity, but if the power were to fail, we would be able to use solar.
That's awesome. That's a good idea. It was pretty, well, but those things work even when it's kind of overcast too, right? You don't need the bright sunlight.
No, anytime there's light, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it stayed pretty.
I'll go get it.
It stayed pretty, you know, it was still stormy after the hurricane for several days. It was still overcast and rainy, but just not hurricane anymore, which was also a surprise to me. I thought it would be like hurricane and then done. There go the dogs. Sorry about that. My number one favorite purchase ever, and somebody told me this my first year in Puerto Morelos, to get a battery operated fan, and that thing has saved my life over and over and over. Highly recommend battery operated fans. They take like 10D batteries, but if you don't have any air moving and you're miserable hot, just that little bit of air moving can like save your life.
So this is one of the ones that I brought with me, and this is the solar panel right here. And then, you know, and you can charge it. It's got a light on it as well, like if you need a flashlight or anything like that. And then it's just got the USB ports in the back here.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can run two different phones at the same time. It's got to be, it's only USB, this one, but there are varieties that have different, and of course you can buy adapters, and then it charges from just from a regular charger from the electricity or from the solar panel.
But it also has the drop charging. So anything that you can drop charge on a plate, you can drop charge on that.
So you just put, you rest your iPhone or your Android on it, it just charges through the.
In case you don't have enough cords.
If you don't have a cord, that still helps.
Okay, that's going on my Amazon list right now.
Amazon.
We bought it off of Amazon, so it had it delivered to our house. I can try and find the details and place it on the chat.
Yeah. Did you get it Amazon stateside or in Amazon?
In Texas.
We got it stateside, but we're interested in working on the actual. I've seen a FedEx and a DHL truck go by the house today. So I'm thinking of sending myself something to discover what happened.
Don't send. So the problem is when you send yourself something from the US, they open it and want to charge you a duty. But Amazon Mexico, you can get quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what we mean by trying to.
Amazon Mexico.
Trying to send ourselves Amazon Mexico and see if it actually arrives at our house.
See what happens.
They've gotten much better.
No, this was from the States.
It'll get there.
Yeah.
I think I got this in Academy. I think I bought this in Academy. They may sell them here. I mean,
they probably do.
They may.
I have a silly question. So if you have like a Sam's Club membership or Costco or whatever here, is it still good in Mexico, or do you have to get a new membership?
Donna's saying,
I see Donna going, yes.
Our Costco works here. In fact, we opened it up at home specifically so that we could use it here. So yeah,
it works
both places.
My Costco works. I don't know about Sam's, but Costco works in the US and here, the same one.
Okay.
So does Sam's. Sam's does too.
Oh, does it? Good. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, good. Yeah, that is nice. The Costco does have a lot of electronics here, and there's a store called Starin that is kind of an electronic, like a Radio Shack, you know, very similar to Radio Shack. We did have a Best Buy, and they went out of business. Best Buy Mexico went out of business, so that is a bummer because they were great. What are the other electronics stores, guys? Do you know of any? No? Okay.
The mega store that's part of Costco, like Walmart is to Home Depot. The mega store has a huge electronics section. So we grabbed a couple of speakers for the house and cords and plugs, and bought a TV, but took it back only because the apps we needed didn't access. But they have all the smart TVs, all that stuff, Mega. So you don't need a membership. It's right in the same parking lot with Costco.
Oh, that's good. I forgot about Mega. For me, Mega's like the closest we get to Target. It's a little Target-ish. Not as great as Target, but kind of like Target. Kind of the closest that we're getting here. What else for hurricanes, guys? What's your advice for getting through hurricanes? Donna? Keith?
I don't know anything else. Hey, if you have a car here during a hurricane, if you can find some place to put it where it's not accessible. We live in a place that's got lots of trees. So our car area is covered, but there was a lot of damage of flying branches and all to cars more than houses.
Hey, Kim, Bruce just brought up a good point too, in talking about cars. Don't just talk about cars. Last year, we had not moved here too long before the first hurricane happened. We didn't have a car. And then when the second hurricane came, we had bought a car by that time. So we went and bought just a little car charger. So, you know, if the power had been out long enough that we needed it, we could go and sit in the car and charge our phones in the car. So that's another way to charge your electronics if you have an automobile here. And I'm going to be honest with you and tell you, after that second hurricane, I went out there a couple of times and just sat in the car and turned the air conditioner on.
In the air conditioning, yeah.
Yes.
We did the same thing, but Costco actually has a really cheap car cover that you can in prep. At least it keeps your car from getting scratched up, because it's just those sticks that are flying around that scratch the cars up.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I do remember after the hurricane, a lot of people were spending a lot of time in their cars, just sitting there, like, yeah. Couldn't drive, but you were at least air conditioned. I'm trying
Some
to think.
people were asking about the hurricane shutters.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the U.S., you can order them from Home Depot. They're called AstroGuard, and you can get the whole install kits and everything.
Okay.
Because we've gotten a quote down there for the company that makes them. They don't sell them separate like they do in the U.S., and they were really expensive. But it's pretty reasonable at Home Depot to get them shipped to your house or someplace in the U.S.
That's for the.
And then how do you get them here?
They were all like, they wanted to install it, and it was really expensive. It was more than hurricane glass for our house.
But I mean, if you get it in the U.S., how do you get it down here?
It just folds up. It's a fabric.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can get the different sizes, and you can get the install kit. Just something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep in mind too that you can check a lot of things on airplanes that I had no idea. I have a friend who checks the wildest things on Southwest all the time. She's brought down like a barbecue grill. She brought down a windmill for their off the grid house. I mean, she's brought like solar panels. Like you can just check it as luggage on, at least on Southwest. So keep that in mind. I had some clients that were going to pay to ship their stand-up paddle boards, and I was like, try to check it. Like you can check they can check bikes, you can check a lot of big oversized and weirdly sized items and just pay the luggage fee, which is much easier than trying to send it and pay duty on it.
Kim, sorry, I think you remember the value of it there too, because coming through customs, they might say, oh wait, that's worth more than X amount or whatever. Unless you turn around and say, oh, I've already owned it for 10 years or something. But, you know, they got particular with us a few times about what we were bringing in for the house. And we had big boxes and they were like, what's in here? What's in here? And they want to open and look at it, everything. Like, well, these are cartons. And this is a spoon. We have 12 of them. You know, it was sort of an interesting
but it still may be safer and cheaper to check it in on the flight and bring it here and pay a little in tax or fees, duty, whatever the whatever the customs fees are, as opposed to sending it off to some shipping company and maybe ever getting it.
3 months.
Yeah.
So the friend who brought like the windmill for her roof, she did pay. I mean, she knew she was going to pay a duty, so she brought her receipt and she had an idea of what it was going to be before she got there. She was aware that she probably couldn't sneak through with that, but a lot of, if you could in your suitcase, you're better off. I brought a TV once and I didn't get caught, but I was very nervous the whole time. And I don't know why I did it, but it was like a really good deal at Target. It was like super cheap and I grabbed it and whatever. It was fine. But you
could have found it at Mega.
I know. It was kind of dumb that I did that, but I thought it was such a good deal. But then I got here and things are cheaper here too. What else? What other hurricane prep?
Kim, one thing last year that I think with the first hurricane was an afterthought for us, but I think it's important is to prep some stuff ahead of time to eat. If the power is going to be out for a couple of days after the storm, if you're not running a generator, then you probably don't want to open your refrigerator or try to avoid opening your refrigerator. So maybe put some bottled water in a cooler with ice and see how long that might last you. And the other thing is maybe make some sandwiches ahead of time, or make sure you have some cans of soup, or make a big pot of chili, something that you can just put in a pot on top of the stove and, heat up over a flame. And also just something that's easy, in the evening, if it's dark already, that you're in the kitchen, you just have like a little lantern or a candle or something. You're just going to want something that you can heat up easily or eat cold. Just, plan ahead a little bit there so you're not eating potato chips for 2 or 3 days, just to get by.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. I'm gonna come to your house if you're cooking at for the hurricane.
I have another question, if you don't mind. When we lived in Phoenix, you could put food outside and let it heat up if you didn't have things. Will that work in
it doesn't get that hot there.
Doesn't get that hot? I just was curious.
It's warm, but I don't think it heats up like that, no. Well, maybe.
Yeah, you need that 115 degree Phoenix heat to do that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what we ate. What did we eat after the hurricane? I don't even remember.
Potato chips.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of chips.
How about fish?
Yeah, fresh ceviche.
I found that if I boiled water and dripped it over my coffee in my coffee pot, I could make coffee without electricity. That was very important.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, is there a battery operated coffee maker? That's what we need to know.
I think
no, you don't need it. You just open up the top and instead of letting it, you just real slowly just start pouring the hot water over top your grounds and it drips right into your coffee pot.
But I have the Nespresso. There's no ground.
Well, I'm sorry, you fancy woman.
I'm gonna have to get some way to choose that thing.
We have a jar of instant. We have a jar on the side of instant if we ever need to, or if we ever don't have any. We bought it when we lost power.
Use only.
We bought it when we lost power a couple of weeks ago and said, we're just going to put a thing of instant over here, and if ever we run out of everything.
I'm going to put that on my list.
It won't last long.
We brought in a Keurig with 1 million of those the little plastic cups that you can reuse and put your coffee in. And our Keurig does not speak Spanish. So we cannot get it to work here.
Oh, no.
So we're back to boiling water.
Oh, no.
It's okay. Our second backup was instant. That's all right. We'll make it work. We haven't lost electricity since then. So we're still cooking, from the French press and everything else works.
Yeah. Well, you can still do like eggs. I mean, you don't have to refrigerate them. What else? Have some vegetables on hand.
Canned food. I think if you have, a few canned food, and because that lasts supposedly through the apocalypse. So, have a few canned things, especially if you have pets, right? You want a couple of canned food, whatever for the pets. Make sure you have just an extra backup. No, we're in the hurricane area, so you should be stowing stuff. You should be storing things in a little cupboard somewhere that, you know, that's for emergency, right?
Right.
And Bruce just said too, if you're doing can stuff after the storm, make sure you have a manual can opener.
Right. Hey, yeah. I did want to mention that I just thought of this. We did have, before the hurricane, we had someone come get the coconuts off our trees, which I think a lot of people ended up doing. Yeah. Because we didn't want those flying around. So that's something to keep in mind too. I feel like I'm forgetting something kind of major and I don't know what it is. Help me, guys.
One thing after the storms last year, just after they were over, we just tried to get out and walk down the street and see if anybody needed any help. We walked over to some friend's house that maybe like 10 minutes away after one of the storms. And John and Caroline were out driving, just kind of going around to people's houses and checking in on them and seeing if they needed anything. And I think it's one of the great things about living here and about the community in Puerto Morelos that we try to take care of each other. So we really appreciated that experience such a short time after having moved here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to see the community come together. We ended up, so there's an alert system for the hurricane, and they will actually go door to door if they want you to evacuate, which they ended up doing. I can't remember if that was the first hurricane. It was the first hurricane, I think. In the afternoon, it was a Category 4 bearing down on us and on a direct hit on Puerto Morelos. And so they did start going door to door telling you that you needed to evacuate in the oceanfront part, or, you know, the seaside village. And luckily we had friends just in the pescadores and higher ground who had already offered. We were going to try to stay in our house. And then we thought, well, now that they're telling us we should leave, we're going to probably skedaddle. So there is an alert system, and they're very good at, you're going to know what's going on. You're not going to be in a position that because you don't speak Spanish, you won't be aware of what's going on. That's not a fear. There's plenty of people who are there to translate for you, and they're, in fact, will come and tell you what you need to do. There are shelters that they will announce, the shelter locations. A lot of people in Puerto Morelos just evacuated and went inland, went to Merida. A lot of people went south to like Bacalar and Chetumal, like way further south where it wasn't predicted to hit. There's in Hurricane Wilma, which set over this area for a few days. It was such a big storm. A lot of people were evacuated to Cancun, spent a few days there. So there are places to go, and you know, we are all neighbors here. Everyone really opened their home if they were especially on higher ground, and invited people in to just come weather the storm. And the storm really lasted, in both cases, just overnight, basically. Didn't last that long. So there is a community. We're all watching out for each other. We're all taking care of each other. You're not on your own. And so that's nice. You're not trying to figure it out in a foreign, language.
So Kim, that might lead to, I mean, we don't have a vehicle. We haven't been here long enough yet, but if you do have a vehicle, it might be a good idea to have like a care package in your vehicle so that if you do have to suddenly take off and run, you don't have to worry about putting a can of baked beans in there or something,
Yeah.
Big game.
That sounds
Sorry, I'm showing my heritage. My wife is
sounds
like,
pretty good.
From like England. That was so long ago.
No, I'm saying you have a week's notice. All right.
But if you had a little care package like first aid kit, if you had some non-perishable food in your vehicle or everything, then if you had to leave quickly, you would at least be prepared for that. You can grab your passports and the things that are important to you. You're not going to think about bringing a couple gallons of water. Sorry, liters.
Yeah, liters.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the one issue in the first hurricane was that there was so much damage on the road from the highway to the beach that was closed. There were trees down all over it. And so if you had, like us, we had evacuated, we couldn't get back to our house for most of one. I mean, I think we probably got back in the afternoon. The hurricane was over like 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And I think eventually we were able to make our way down the highway to the Pet and Peach exit and make our way back, but the roads, you know, were not in great shape and there was trees down everywhere. So, so that can happen too. I mean, if you don't evacuate, you could be stuck here or, but so just make sure you have you're right, have some things in your vehicle, have fresh drinking water in case you get stuck trying to drive somewhere, because trees are down everywhere and electric wires are down. It's a mess. I'm sorry if my dog is super annoying right now. I should just turn off my mic. All right, any other questions, guys? If you're in well, we should talk about if you're in a condo complex, the association, actually, I don't know if they do the individual units, if the association comes around and helps you secure your unit, or if you have to have your own property manager. I'm going to check into that because I'm not sure about that. I'm thinking you probably have to have your own property manager to secure.
What about, we talked a little bit about the solar energy. Does the electric company down there buy back any overages like they do here?
Donna?
Donna's laughing.
Hello.
Okay, they don't.
Okay. It's a little bit different. It's a balancing system. We are now at the point exact amount that we need so that our electric bill is equivalent to less than $5 a month. But the thing of it is, we feed the meter and then we use CFE's electric. It's not like we're using it directly from the solar panels, because the panels actually feed the meter continuously and we are connected to CFE continuously. We have a bypass we can use for direct solar, but it doesn't, there's not enough of it. It's only a couple of, we can't run the whole house direct solar. So when like the hurricane came and we didn't have CFE, our solar, we flipped it over and we had enough to run a refrigerator and a couple fans, fill up our tanks because we have pressure tanks too, that kind of thing. But then come nighttime, electricity is completely gone again. So we only have it through that backup. We do not have the big storage batteries. You need a lot of room for the storage batteries from solar if you're going to go completely off the CFE grid.
Okay. Thanks. Don.
Good to know. Thank you.
So they don't, so they give you a credit. Is that correct? They're not like, if you use
technically, they tell you that if you make more than you use, they're going to give you money back. If you talk to anybody that has solar down here, I cannot name one person that's ever got a penny back from them. So somehow magically it always comes out that it's even or above, never the other way. I don't know how, because we've had so much sun this past couple months. We should be getting back hundreds of dollars, but that's not going to happen.
Okay. But your bill is low. So that's good.
Our bill for the last 2 months was 160 pesos for 2 months.
That's crazy.
And we run the air. We've got a nice sized pool that we run the filter on the pool at least 4 to 6 hours a day, all the fans, the TV, the lights, the air conditioning, everything. And we have 11 panels. Yeah.
Replace the batteries every 5 years.
That's nice. All right, guys, I don't really have much else unless you have some questions or comments. Anything?
No, just Kim, thank you for setting this up. We've been meaning to sort of get involved in for a while. And, you know, we bought our house in April, so we're fairly new to this, but at the same time, we've been, you know, kind of following you for a little bit. So I appreciate what you do for the Puerto Morelos community and, and everybody's knowledge and everything. And thank you.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah, we're learning a lot. We're stepping on toes all along the way. I've got lots of Band-Aids.
Well, welcome. Congratulations on your purchase and welcome to town.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. We're excited. You know, we've been coming here for about 14 years renting, and I think we decided this was the place. So. So here we are. Hi, everybody.
Yay! Welcome to town.
We're going to be down in September for a week, so hopefully we'll get to meet some of you.
Yes,
Right.
that would be great.
Where are you guys? Because you sound
We're in
like
Oklahoma City.
Oh, we're in Texas, so we're just south of you.
We're in Puerto Morelos right now, but we live in Austin.
We have a house. We're normally
Okay.
So we still have our house in Austin, and we're just slowly making our way to be here more.
There you go.
We have a 13-year-old, so we have a few more years of guiding, herding the cats.
Yeah, in 2 years, we're selling everything we own. Everything we can fit in 11 suitcases is coming to Mexico, the dog and the cat and us.
Oh, that's amazing. Best of luck to you guys.
Live the dream.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Joanne, even if it's 2 years out, start now.
Oh,
we are.
Start planning.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We're downsizing now.
Yeah, we're both learning Spanish, and so we've got a couple of years. Well, I'm learning it more than he is, and and we're starting to look at things, going, well, we can sell that. We don't need that in 2 years. We don't need that for 2 years. So yeah, we're starting now.
Yep.
Yeah, we're
well done.
Deep in the here, and it's a lot. It's very overwhelming. We're hoping to move in November and trying to sell a house that we've been in for 20 years, and it's very daunting.
Yes. Well, that's a good thing. We rent here also. We've got a large apartment, but we rent, so we don't have to worry about selling a house or anything like that.
You're lucky.
Can I say something real quick to you guys that are planning to sell everything and move here? Because that's exactly what we did last year. We sold, we basically gave away because it was in the middle of the pandemic. So it was hard for us to have like yard sales or anything like that. Yeah. But we gave away most of our stuff, and we came down here to what we could bring in suitcases and the cat carrier. And it is overwhelming and it's very daunting. And the way that we found to make it work for us is don't think about the entire process. If you think about everything you have to do, you're just going to sit down and cry. Honestly, just think about what you need to do for the next day, just one day at a time.
Agreed.
Baby step.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Keith. That's good advice.
Thank you.
And also, I think the other good advice is there's no one perfect way to do it. People always say, well, what's the right way? And the right way is whatever is comfortable for you. Some people sell everything and just bring a suitcase. Other, they're from people who hire trucks and bring everything and don't get rid of anything. Like, you just have to figure out what works for you, and don't let anyone, it's your life. If you can't live without that bookcase, bring that bookcase. But chances are I've learned, I have many things that I thought
hold up.
So do I.
Yeah, I've been paying storage for 9 years for stuff that I thought I couldn't live without. So yeah, that's not smart.
Yeah, I heard you say that a couple of videos ago, and I went, yeah, we're not going to do that.
So, Donna, could you share the contact info for the solar panels? Could you message Kim that information that she could share with us?
There's a couple of them in the area. It's actually because they come and go. I know that sounds terrible. Another friend had just asked me about what I had, so I gave her the name of the brand that I have. But like ours were installed 3 years ago. Saying the guy that did ours is still here, I can't even tell you yes or no with that. But I can at least send you an area where you can figure it out.
Okay, and I saw your message just pop up too, Kim. I appreciate that.
Yeah, they are selling solar panels, and I've heard good things about them.
Okay.
Oh, good, because ours was 3 years ago, and I'm sure so much has changed so much in 3 years with solar here. So there's a lot of different choices.
Okay, are we done?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience. I feel like I was not as prepared as I should have been, and I'm in my bedroom with my dogs barking. So thank you for hanging in there.
Okay.
I think we got some good information, and we'll do something like this again, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Kim,
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.